Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 180 of the F.Reality Podcast. It's been an epic week for VR news this week, so buckle up, because we're going to be talking to creator of Virtual Desktop, Guy Godin, about Virtual Desktop's PSVR streaming patch being allowed back in the official app. You can now see your couch in VR in the latest Oculus Quest update version 26. Facebook Reality Labs VP Boz hints at an Oculus Quest Pro in the future. PSVR 2 was officially confirmed in the works by PlayStation. And to round up the show, Zim has got some new releases for you to look forward to next week. But for now, let me introduce you to the team and find out what's been their highlight of the week this week. And also let us know what you've played in the chat so we can read out some of your highlights too. First up, this lad is going to be the first millionaire from making virtual items in Rec Room. It's the VR dreamer. It's Nathy. How you doing, dude? You all right?
Oh, I am? I am going to do that?
Yeah.
What am I going to sell?
You're going to sell like, little furniture, little house layouts. Yeah, okay. It's going to be lit. You're going to be a millionaire, bro. I predicted it.
Would be amazing, though. I'm sure. I'm sure I can make it happen. I mean, me making furniture, it's a one of a kind. It's like your
Dutch
stick
furniture.
Figure, but then in the form of furniture.
I'm just imagining everything to be orange or like cheese with like holes in it.
Yeah,
definitely. Very stereotype.
Clogs.
I like it.
You could sell clogs.
Windmills
clogs
everywhere.
Wooden shoes that you can wear in Rec Room, even that you don't have any feet, but you can still wear them, Yeah, no, sounds like a plan. No, but I'm curious. I'm curious who's going to be the first one to actually make a living out of it. Like Rec Room is big enough to be doing it full time. Yeah. But I don't know who is it gonna be and what are they gonna sell, because you need to be seeing it as a business. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna sell some fun stuff. You need to look at what the demand is and then start. I'm not gonna say too much because now people are gonna steal my idea.
Yeah, exactly. I remember all those people getting super rich off selling furniture in like Second Life.
Yeah, true. It's great. It's great news. I think this is cool for sure. And I wasn't expecting Rec Room to be this quick. I thought they were going to wait it out, but I mean, this is a good moment. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Do any of you guys know the break details on that? I didn't look at it, but I'm interested. Like, what is Rec Room taking for the sales and stuff like that? Do you guys know?
I honestly don't know. I do know that you need to be like 18 years and older. You need to have an account that is like 30 days.
There's a problem
old.
for you then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I can't, it's a shame. Yeah, that's why I'm using Rowdy's account to do it.
So any highlights this week, dude?
Yes, my highlight is Gorilla Tag. Zim invited us to play it, and it was really fun, but afterwards, my muscles were completely wrecked for 3 days. I couldn't properly grab stuff from the kitchen. I'm serious. I couldn't move properly anymore. It really hurt. But I was just try-harding this game and I was just laughing my ass off. I haven't had that much fun in ages. And honestly, it's like best multiplayer game of the year. Yeah. It is I'm not I know last year we had Medal of Honor, but this is legit. Okay, this game's freaking legit, and this game needs to be also in the official store. Yeah. Okay, and it needs to be a PSVR 2 launch title as well. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. If anyone asks you how did you get your sore arms and legs, and you have to explain them that you were running around as a virtual gorilla chasing people, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, but it like every time Zim invites us to play a game, it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. It really is. I don't know how long we played it for, about 2-3 hours, but oh my God, I just couldn't stop. I was addicted straight away. And I was so tired. I was like, I want to quit. But then every time a new round started, everything was starting over again.
That's the problem. Even when you're hurting, that game just keeps pulling you. And I didn't expect them to drop a new map this week. And they dropped The Cave, which for those who have played Gorilla Tag, when you spawn, if you've made it into I'll call it the treehouse, although I find that really complicated because there's actually a treehouse 20 feet away. Yeah. But anyway, in the treehouse, if you know the one with the computer in it, now there's a hole, and you go in that hole, and it goes down into a cave. And I am not going to spoil what's in the cave, but the way it works is if you're joining just public lobbies, you're in the treehouse. If you go outside, you'll join a public game. Or if you go down the hole, you'll join a public game in the cave. And then if you come up again, you'll leave that and you'll go to the next one. So
smart.
It's very cool.
So
it's very cool. But I recommend you guys check it out. You're going to have some fun. It's a very different type of play in that section.
It's available for free on SideQuest and on Steam VR if you're interested. Go check it out.
So that's the state of VR, folks.
Yeah, that is. We can round up the show now. See you. Have a good week. Right. So next up, this guy recently released his autobiography, The Adventures of Jim Barnaby, available now in all terrible bookstores, is of course Zimtok 5. How you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm really great. It's been one of those weeks for VR where you're like, yes, everything's awake and alive again, and there's some cool news and exciting stuff happening. Guy's news as well, which we'll talk about in a bit, which was total surprise, and I'm so happy about it. For me, my highlight actually links up to my next social thing, which is tomorrow I'm playing Vox Machina, which is a mech robot style battlefield game. It's incredible.
I mean, good.
This game is
good.
Like I just feel like there's some games that as you go along, like it's just like the perfect hit. It's just like it's all there. It's all what you want it to be. It feels like you want it to be. The problem is like when you've got a game like this and it's just like it's a multiplayer only game, there's no campaign, then all you have is people who love the game trying to keep it alive, right? And I really hope that the devs would look at it, at what they built, and kind of consider creating a campaign, stripping the game down and releasing it on Quest, for example, and just get a stack of cash for it, because stomping around in a giant mech of all different varieties, you can configure your weapons. You've got sniper things, you've got shotguns, all different types of weapons. Even a mech that'll jump on another mech's head and drill into it to kill it. I mean, this game's got what you want.
The quality of it is equal to, like, I don't know if you guys remember Hawken on PC.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
It's literally just as good, because I played that game a ton, like, because it was free as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's so good, and it's just a feeling that you get, and that's what I like about these games. So although I did also play more Gorilla Tag than I would like to admit this week, I have to say that Vox, I am so pumped for that, and I'm playing with 16 people. We've hooked up with like an EU league as well, so there's 8 people who know what they're doing, and then there's the 8 people that I'm dragging along, and that's gonna be fun. So I look forward to that one.
Yeah, Vox Machina is like a real hidden gem. Go check it out. It's available on Steam and the official PC Oculus store if you're interested.
And the visuals are fantastic.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think the best thing about the game, if I was going to highlight one last thing about it, is the comm system. You have to like you're in the cockpit in the driving seat of a big truck. There's both a horn that you can pull down, makes a great honking noise, and then there's also like a comm system. And when you're talking to people, you get this little virtual avatar, which you can customize, and it comes up and you're talking to each other, and it's got a little bit of static in the mic, kind of like Elite Dangerous does. It's just beautiful. Perfection. Great game.
Feels really real.
Yeah.
It's
really,
one of
really
those games where I just want the separate controller for, you know.
Yeah.
Like one of those proper like what was it?
like...
Steel Battalion ones.
Yeah.
They were epic. Right. Next up, he's adorable and fluffy, but be warned, he does have sharp teeth. A bit like a gerbil.
Gerbil.
Are we doing this again?
It's the one and only Rowdy VR. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. Like you all, like I didn't have that many sore arms because I didn't manage to stay around for Gorilla Tag for that long because I had some mic issues. Although I think that the issue is actually my Quest for some reason, having it linked up with Oculus Link. I think it switched around my audio source a little bit and it messed up somewhere. I think it's been resolved now though. But actually my highlight of the week is that I played Arden's Wake in VR, which is something that we talked about not that long ago, which is from Penrose Studios, a game from Penrose Studios, which you guys probably know from Alumet. And there's another title they made as well, which the name slipped me now. But it's not an interactive game. It's completely, I would say, like it's more like you're watching what is happening. Very much like the punk is invented by girls. We played that I played a while ago. Battlescar.
Yeah.
It feels like you're watching a movie, but you're kind of part of the movie in a way. Like everything is happening around you. It's very cinematic, very scenic. It's very short. I was surprised by the length of it. That's maybe the one thing that I was a little bit disappointed by, that it's a fairly short experience. Of the other game that the chat actually just helped me out, Paradise Decay said, was A Rose and I, which is indeed another one of them. Yeah. I do find that the story in the other two games was a little bit stronger. It's a very emotional story. I'm not going to spoil anything about it, but it feels like it's also because of the duration of it, that it's kind of a bit cut short. I'm kind of wondering more about what is going on, what is going to happen. But in another way, it does show again, the strength of VR beyond the game medium. I'm sure that Guy also agrees with that, that the kind of things that you can do with virtual reality go so far beyond what just gaming is offering. And this game again shows that it's more I wouldn't call it a movie again. It's more like a theater experience, because you're part of what is happening, and you need to kind of use more of your senses to look around and experience a story in a very different way. And the way that you experience the story is very dependent on the location where you're looking, of course, because you can't see everything like you do in a movie often. So I really enjoyed that. The only thing that I had, and I don't know if any of you guys played it as well, I found it on my Oculus Link. I had a little bit of a blur over it. It didn't feel as sharp to me as I would have expected it. And I couldn't find any settings in the game to increase, for example, the resolution or the super sampling. I don't know if any of you have experienced that as well.
I had the exact same. It felt like it was upscaled or something like that. And I was trying to toy. I had this actually with a bunch of Steam VR games, and then I realized that after Mike had lent me his HP Reverb G2, I had scaled down Steam VR to 50 or 52%. And so that helped me out with everything else. And actually, until you just mentioned it now, I had attributed it to that, but it wasn't that. So it might be. Have you scaled your Link settings, for example?
Through Oculus.
Right. I'm just saying, because you have that ability in Oculus Link as well to change the refresh rate and to change the resolution as well. So
maybe that is something I need to check out still, since I think I have some issues there. I don't have it though in when I go into the home environment, or I didn't have it in another game either, since I tested it out afterwards. I was just a bit surprised by that. It felt a little bit low resolution to me, while I don't think that it's supposed to be experienced that way.
It might have been app specific, because I did have the same. So.
And what was the name of it again, Rowdy? Just to repeat it for the chat.
Arden's Wake.
Nice. Interesting recommendation there.
I can tell you that the premise of it is a story about a girl and her father, with the earth being kind of submerged in water. And the father goes, something happens, and the girl goes looking for her father.
Yeah.
So an updated version of Waterworld for VR.
It really is Waterworld. It really is Waterworld. And the thing I would just say one thing about that, having seen it myself, they do the ocean really well. I like the depth. If anyone's played Ocean Rift ages and ages ago, where they get that kind of volumetric feel, they do the depth in the kind of murky ocean really well.
And also they play around with the audio very well with that, so that the audio kind of changes when you go underwater, which is a really neat feeling. And I myself, I'm scared of oceans. I find them absolutely terrifying. If you know how deep they can be, the largest mountain cannot even fit in the deepest part of the ocean, which is insane. The kind of depth there. So it was a little bit of a weird experience to be going into such deep waters.
Is it paid or is it free?
Paid.
It's paid. Yeah. I don't know the exact price though.
Okay, nice, interesting recommendation there. Immersive storytelling on to check out if you're interested. So next up, we have a special guest joining us this week. The creator of one of the most useful applications available on the Oculus Quest store, in my opinion, is the man behind Virtual Desktop. It's Guy Godin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Well, this is the second time we've had you on the show, actually, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're becoming a regular.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
You can start charging
thank
us.
you.
Apart from the big news this week, obviously, which we're going to get into very shortly, have you got any highlights or things you've checked out recently that you want to share?
No, I really haven't been playing many games lately, so unfortunately, I'm the worst person to ask for recommendations. Everyone around me gets into VR. It's oh, what game should I try? I'm
I don't know. I'm too busy working on it. I'm too busy making the stuff that you enjoy rather than playing the
just
stuff
say
that you
try virtual desktop next time.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I should probably do that.
No, it's awesome to have you on the show, and really looking forward to talking about virtual desktop very shortly when we get into the news. So what about the chat? What have they been up to this week? Anything interesting from them?
Yeah, so we have Watto UK, who has been playing Flight Simulator 2020. They should have called it 2021 to be future-proof, though. It sounds old already. Well, it just came out and he also played Half-Life Alyx, of course. Cold Vengeance has been playing VR Dungeon Night. It's also a hidden gem. It's amazing. Then we have Mao5, who finished the campaign of Medal of Honor. Rowdy, have you finished it yet, or are you still trying to?
I've played it.
Oh, you played it? Okay, well, that's enough.
I think I'm done with the first chapter.
Wow.
God, he's got 10 hours left.
First chapter, that's like a tutorial, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
I play way too long that part.
He also played some Pavlov and a whole lot of Synth Riders. Then we have Mage, who got back into some PSVR gaming and Steam VR thanks to Virtual Desktop Update. Yes. And we have Bill Gates, who's also in the chat.
The Bill Gates.
All he says is, I want to play Gorilla Tag.
Yep.
Well, there we go. Bill Gates
Good
confirmed.
luck.
Loves Gorilla Tag.
Bill.
Yeah, and watches our show.
Yeah. Pleasure to have you as a viewer.
Totally legitimate viewer.
Yeah.
So this week, my highlight this week was Population 1. Jumped back in to check out the new Season 1 update called Uprising. It launched this week for free on Quest and PC. They've got some cool new weapons added. Changes up the dynamic of the game a little bit, which is nice because, it keeps things feeling a bit fresh and exciting again. If you're not familiar with the update, they've got zone grenades now. So it's a grenade that you can throw into an enemy sort of encampment where they've got behind cover, for example, and it will force the zone into them.
Can you actually throw the grenades now?
No.
You're
Still firing it from your hand.
Pull the trigger.
Yeah, sorry.
But that is the best. I just got a comment. Those zone grenades are amazing. It's a
zone grenades
damage
are awesome.
over time ticker, but it'll hurt you too. So mind yourself, kiddos.
Yeah. They've also got a light machine gun, so you can sort of provide suppressing fire. It recoils and kicks like a mule, so you got to really sort of control that. It's a bit challenging to use, but I got a couple of kills with it.
The reload takes half an hour.
Yeah, it's got like a four-step reload process, but it's pretty badass. It's got like a huge clip, of course. Yeah. You've got a katana and a knife for up-close melee combat. So what we found is that a lot of players were just jumping off the ledge, going straight into like a knife fight as soon as they hit the ground, which was kind of fun. You've also got like soda pops, which are shield pops, as well as the health pops now. So you can regain your shield slowly over time. Yeah. And they've also reworked the inventory system. So you can have up to 5 sodas and 2 bananas in a single slot, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's good to have that.
Yeah, I checked out the battle pass as well. I paid for it and then instantly regretted it. It didn't really offer much value, to be honest. Only cosmetic upgrades, and they were all a bit naff. So I'm still not that interested in the cosmetic side of things and the skins and stuff. But if people dig it, then great. The one thing that did really excite me, though, was that bHaptics introduced bHaptic support into the game in the form of a mod on PC. Okay. So they've got the full suit, arm sleeves, and facial interface can all receive haptic feedback based on in-game actions now. So like eating bananas, flying, being in the pod, receiving incoming directional fire, all that kind of stuff is all in there now. And that was really, really cool to check out. But the funniest thing is that people can touch you now in the lobby and you can feel it with the haptic vest.
No, I know.
Oh no, this is not going well. Yeah, I'm with Rowdy on that.
Yeah.
That's like
So I was playing with GT and the Lonely Viper. They were both wearing vests as well. So when we would like win a round, which was very infrequent actually, because everyone's insanely good at the game now, and all the pro players were jumping in on the new update. But when we did get a win, we were giving each other a little backpack and rubbing each other's chest, and we could all feel it, which was pretty awesome. So
nice.
that was
sounds
okay.
That was my highlight of the week.
So what does a banana feel like eating?
It's great. It trickles down the front and back of the vest. It's like the health regeneration in Half-Life Alyx when you use the vest in that as well. So really cool. I just hope that the big box VR, see that this is really fun tech and they integrate it in themselves, so people with the Quest version can try it out as well. Because this is just limited to a mod on PC at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
that is my highlight.
Yeah. I tried some season 1 as well. I think the swords and the knives so far. I mean, I saw someone covering this, but like you have to make quite a wide swipe to do proper damage with them from left to right. I never got a kill with them. I found them quite waggly, to be honest, and not so satisfactory. But yeah, that LMG it's fun. It's fun, but the reroll, the reload is just, you're laughing like halfway through. You're like, really? I have to do all these steps in this arcadey game? You kidding me?
It's hard to aim with, man. Like
like the recoil
like Rambo,
is
and you have to, the recoil is crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Nice. So before we get into the news this week, I want to thank the sponsor of this week's show, and that is, of course, VAL, the Virtual Athletics League. They've kindly been sponsoring us for the past few weeks, and they're currently running the VR Winter Games, which kicked off on the 19th of February and is the follow-up to last year's VR Fitness Summit. The VR Winter Games is a series of online competitions in which you can enter and compete for your opportunity to win thousands in cash prizes in over 20 VR games. This week, you can compete for the high score in Propagation VR's co-op mode. Qualifiers have begun for Swordsman VR, and there's a group play tournament that has just started for Walkabout Mini Golf. So if you're a group of mini golfers that you think are pros, then you can jump in and maybe snag some cash as a result of it. If you're interested, find out more about the tournaments and how to enter the games and the cash prizes, check out the website onearena.gg, which has all the details, and the link is in the description down below.
I still want to bring the suggestion. I think I did it last week too. Gorilla Tag needs to be on that list too, and maybe also that run simulator that Zim once mentioned.
Yeah,
you have to run after someone. Yeah,
Happy Run.
Happy Run.
Stalker Run. That's what it sounded like.
I agree with you, man. I'm not joking. Like when I'm playing Gorilla Tag with people, their Oculus, what's it called? The fitness thing now, Oculus Move. Their Oculus Move is like dinging them and saying, you've completed your Oculus Move goal for the day. Because every time Gorilla Tag will satisfy that.
Like only trying to get into the menu, into the treehouse will be enough to finish a ring.
They changed that. This is the thing. We are now the OGs of Gorilla Tag. It is now a ramp. It's no longer difficult to get into the treehouse. They ramped it. It's super easy now because it was too difficult for people. I like the fact that it was hardcore. Lemming? Bad? No, I'm just kidding. It's fine. It's fine. It's good.
So right, let's get straight into the juicy news this week and talk about Virtual Desktop with our guest, Guy Godin, the creator of Virtual Desktop. If you have any questions for Guy, by the way, drop them in the chat now and we can read a few of them out later on at the end of the segment. But just to give you a quick recap, if you're not familiar with Virtual Desktop and the kind of saga that went on before, it's a super useful application available on Oculus Quest that allows you to remotely log into your desktop PC from anywhere in the world in virtual reality. It's super useful. But one of the best features about this app is that you can also use it to remotely play PC VR games from your PC's Steam and Oculus library using your Quest or Quest 2. And I personally use this feature myself to play PC VR content wirelessly on the Quest 2. And honestly, it's my favorite way to experience PC VR content just due to the fact that it's wireless. It just works flawlessly. I recently also put this feature to the test to remotely play Half-Life Alyx on a Shadow PC, which was located 300 miles away in Paris, and that also works surprisingly well. A Shadow PC can be like a great option if you can't afford a high-end PC yourself, but I'll talk about Shadow in more detail on a future episode of the podcast. But one of the problems up to this point is that the PC VR streaming part of Virtual Desktop wasn't allowed on the official Oculus Store, meaning that you had to sideload the Virtual Desktop PC VR streaming patch using SideQuest. It was a pretty straightforward process, but for most people out there, they either probably won't know it exists or they don't want to go through the hassle of setting it all up. So with the recent launch of the App Lab platform from Oculus, there was kind of hope that the patch would be allowed on App Lab, making it an easier process. But in a surprising announcement this week from Guy and Oculus, they've allowed the PC VR streaming part of the official Virtual Desktop app back into the app on the official store. So you don't have to go through any of that sideloading process anymore. You don't need to use App Lab. It's all built into the official app, which is great news for everyone. I think we can all celebrate that. So, Guy, how did this all turn about? How did this 180 happen? Because previously they were against it, and now they're supporting it. So what's the story with that, dude?
Well, so I submitted my patch to App Lab so that the patch would simply run and then patch the game and all that. But I felt like this was kind of crazy that people had to go through this. So, I was crossing my fingers, hoping maybe they will accept it in the actual store, and they did. One day I just got an email that says Yeah, we're denying you on for App Lab, but we're letting you put it on the store officially. So I was like, oh my god, this is good.
It's the best kind of rejection letter, man. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Like I wonder, like, do you think like the PSVR announcement or anything has to do with that? Like, or was it in the same time frame?
No, it was. I knew before that. I knew earlier the week. So right. Yeah. No, I think, I mean, they probably just looked at the numbers, and there's so many people that use virtual desktop every day to play their games. Like it just made sense to just put it there because all the new users had to go through those crazy steps of creating a developer account, downloading ADB drivers, and like at each step there was always some people getting stuck, right? So it was a lot of work for me and for the people in my community to help people sideload and install the patch. So it's kind of a relief now that we don't have to do the support for that part of it. We just have to help people, that have bad Wi-Fi or that don't plug their computer into their router, things like that. Like it's very simple now, rather than in the past it was all like, okay, follow those instructions and go through those steps. And finally people got in, they were happy, but it was just like lots of friction now that's kind of gone. So that's great.
Yeah, I think it's great for the community. So will the patch be removed from SideQuest now?
Yeah, it's removed already. Basically, when you go to the SideQuest page, instead of installing the patch, it's just a button that brings you to the store page of the app on Quest. So nice. I still get messages that are asked like, "Where's the patch? Where's the patch?" I was like, "Okay, you don't need it anymore."
That's great though, because it's kind of funny because we had Shane from SideQuest on a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about virtual desktop and hoping that it would come to App Lab, the patch. And I sort of cited one of Andrew Bosworth's AMA sort of quotes, which he did recently. And this is what he said. He said, one of the challenges with virtual desktop is that we can't know what your Wi-Fi connection is like or how it changes. And so we couldn't guarantee a good experience. And that's why we had limitations on apps like this shipping in the store. And my kind of response to that at the time was kind of like, well, just put a disclaimer on there. On the app, right? That you have to agree that you need to understand that, the quality of your experience will come down to the strength of your Wi-Fi connection. And if you've got a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, that will vary depending on the quality of your Wi-Fi.
Kind of the same like you do with like minimum specs on a graphics card. You say like,
exactly.
we need minimum specs on a graphics card in order to have an optimal experience.
But they didn't even, they didn't ask for that, right? To be implemented.
No. I did suggest that, but they were categoric. They didn't want the feature on the store. So, I complied, didn't really have a choice. It was either that or my app was pulled entirely from the store. So, so that's why I put it on SideQuest, and the SideQuest folks were amazing. They helped get it up and running in just a few days. And Shane was awesome. And, I'm really thankful for him to making it possible for people to enjoy the feature for almost 2 years now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so many of us have enjoyed it, and we were super grateful for both what you and Shane are doing for the community. Absolutely, 100%. But it's interesting they didn't ask you to put a disclaimer in, even now that they've added it back to the official app.
Yeah.
No, well, there is already some warnings. Like if you don't have a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, if your computer is not wired to your router, or if the speed isn't good, like there are yellow text and warning that's going to tell you what your issue is already. There's a performance overlay as well now that has all that information that you need to know where your issue is if you have more latency than you should. So the app has gone better. It's much better than it was when initially released too. There might be a component to that why they now accept it too. The first version was a little rough. There was a bit of delay with the controllers, for example. Mm-hmm. And now it's pretty comparable to Link.
Yeah, I think definitely for me it trumps Link just due to the fact that it's wireless, and you've got all the options in there that you can tweak as well, depending on, your PC specs. And I think that's really, really useful. So to sort of go back, like, why do you think this has changed? Obviously, we spoke to Shane, and you just mentioned as well that, SideQuest was seeing, I think it was like something like 1 million active monthly users. Yep. And obviously Virtual Desktop's patch was one of the top apps on SideQuest. So there was a significant amount of people using it and downloading it every month. Do you think it was just purely the numbers, or do you think that maybe behind the scenes they've maybe given up on a streaming solution of their own? Any thoughts on that?
Well, my theory about that is that they are working on their own version. Carmack has called it AirLink. So my guess is they've given up on AirLink for Quest 1 and Quest 2, and they'll only introduce it for the Quest Pro or whatever comes next. And probably the next Quest will have Wi-Fi 6E, which is 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is free of interference from devices in your home because nobody has Wi-Fi 6E yet. So essentially they're kind of escaping the whole interference problem with that. So that's my guess. They're probably just going to support it, bundle in the box. They're going to have a Wi-Fi dongle and ship it with the Quest Pro, and my app essentially will be used for people on Quest 1 and Quest 2.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But of course, you're not a guy that kind of like rests on his laurels. You'll end up probably supporting that extra Wi-Fi 6E as well, right? Like virtual desktop will still.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to do with automatic.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's awesome. Work. Yeah. And it's interesting because like we saw from the latest Steam VR hardware survey that 17% of all headsets, like VR headsets on Steam, are Quest 2 now, and 7% are all Quest 1s. And I wonder how many of those users are using virtual desktop as their means to access
Do you have
Steam
any numbers
VR.
on that?
Yeah.
Or anything you could share?
My guess is about between 5 and 10% of the Quest owners. So that's just a guess number because we don't have an exact number of Quests sold, right? Wow. So
I wonder if you can afford that downtown Chicago apartment.
Yeah, that's view, huh? Yeah.
Oh man, that's a pro there. That is. I had a question actually just from the last time, because in all these with all these puzzle pieces changing, the thing that leaps out at me again. I remember the last time we were speaking, and I know we've almost not even said Oculus Go in probably a year, but I'm just curious. Virtual desktop support on Go was set to die and expire at some stage. I can't remember the year or month.
December, yeah.
December this year, 2021.
2020.
Okay.
I mean the ability to push builds was removed in December 2020 for developers,
right?
And then I think the end of life is December 2021. Or 2022, I'm not sure exactly.
So it's frozen at the moment, so no updates or anything. So that's locked, that's finished.
Well, it was supposed to be frozen, but I discovered this week that you could actually push builds. So I updated my app on Go and Gear VR to include the patch there, to remove the requirement for the patch. So now if you have a Go or a Gear VR, you can stream VR games just like on Quest without needing a patch. So
that's brilliant. That's why I was curious.
You only have one controller right on Go or Gear VR, so it's a little limited. But for things like Google Earth or simple VR games, it actually works pretty well.
Well, or simulators.
The funny thing is, like last summer after we were speaking, I put together an Oculus Go and, for instance, Assetto Corsa and did sim racing with it because you don't need to move yourself in 6DoF space to do a racing game. So as a really cheap way to get into sim racing, an Oculus Go actually works, which is like, it's just funny. But I was curious about that. And the other thing I was curious about, because I saw a mention, I think it was one of your tweets this week that mentioned about kind of game support. And the thing that's always baffled me is how well you now have it integrated for if you want to play Oculus Home games that aren't natively on Quest. And if you want to play Steam VR games that aren't natively on Quest, you can in either of those configurations. Now, not everything works, but a lot of them do work. So my question to you would be, what are the games that you're aware currently don't work, that are maybe what people kind of bug you and ask for all the time? I think it's the dev's problem rather than yours, but can you just run down a short list of the things that people want that they can't have right now?
Right now, Minecraft on the Oculus Store doesn't work, the Bedrock version, but you can play Vivecraft on Steam, which I think most people prefer anyway. So, but since the people who get Quest nowadays are much younger, so lots of people want to play Minecraft, they want to play Roblox. So those are the two games that everyone asks about right these days. Besides that, there are a couple games here and there, but the majority will work okay. It's important to launch the games from the Games tab. I even added a voice in the last version that says, by the way, don't forget to launch your games from the Games tab, because that's how you get good compatibility. If you launch them directly from Steam, sometimes it will show Vive once because it will assume you have a Vive. And so the compatibility there is not perfect, but
No, it's really handy. So for those who don't know, I think you use the hamburger button, I like to call it, the menu button, to pop out the update on, and then just go to the games tab. It's so helpful. I mean, launching Oculus Home games that don't work natively on Quest is just such a dream. Like, to play on that display, on that headset, tetherless in the middle of a play space. Oh my God, it's great. You can play anything. Even Pop 1, for example, right? Like playing Pop 1 on that headset wirelessly in the middle of a room. That's the way to play it, you know? So.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting because I saw another app recently called Plutosphere. I don't know if you've heard of this, Guy. It's a remote PC VR streaming service similar to Shadow, but it's all pre-configured for VR, so you don't have to worry about necessarily using virtual desktop. But do you think, like, that's going to SideQuest at the moment, but do you think Oculus might come around to maybe an app like that, bearing in mind what's happened with virtual desktop?
I don't know, because all of these apps, like Shadows released their own. Now there's Pluto, and then there's AMD has one, right? Mm-hmm. All these apps are essentially just copies of ALVR, the open source app. So it only works as a Steam driver, and so it means that you're going to have lots of compatibilities with games. That's how I implemented it initially. So it was just the Steam VR driver, so it only works with Steam VR games. But then as soon as, for all games, it actually showed you the wrong controllers, or the input didn't work very well. So it was kind of a nightmare. So that's why I moved to emulating the runtime instead. And I don't think any of the apps do that, actually. So they will all have the same issue where they want to play Boneworks. Oh, your hands are off by 3 inches, and then they're all rotated wrong, or like all sorts of issues like that. So
okay.
I don't know if Oculus will approve them. I would doubt, because there's the whole payment mechanism. Like, if you pay for a subscription monthly, then Oculus will want their 30%, and can they really afford that? I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. But I immediately kind of thought of them when you got approved, and I was wondering if they were going to be a bit more lax. But yeah, maybe you're right. You were just based purely on the fact that it was such a, virtual desktop was such a hot app for the community, and it was so popular, and now obviously works so well that they were like, okay, we're going to make an exception for it, but maybe not so much others.
So you said that the last update that you rolled out is not on the SideQuest version, right? So
right, SideQuest was just a patch that just put a file that told the original app, oh, you have a patch installed, and that's it. So it didn't really have any.
No. But you will continue. You will continue to just update the SideQuest version as well.
No, there's no APK. There's nothing on SideQuest. So you just go to SideQuest, and it'll bring you to the store page, basically. So.
Oh, okay. So they now link through to the official version.
Yeah. There's no install the headset button. There's just a button that brings you to the store. I wonder, because
what you just said, like, it's one of the main things on SideQuest. People are using that the most. So it kind of drives away loads of traffic. I don't know how much percent that is, but it's kind of like, a great win for everyone in the VR industry, but kind of a loss for SideQuest in the end.
Yeah, but there's still some great stuff on SideQuest, because it seems like App Lab approval takes a long time, and it's not guaranteed either. So I'm sure SideQuest is going to be super useful for tons of content that people create.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So to give a bit of an insight to sort of like behind the scenes, like what's the most challenging part of making this tech work? Because it's not an easy feat, but obviously you make it look incredibly easy because it's so simple to configure and set up. So maybe you could just give us a little glimpse of like some significant challenges of making an app like this.
Just launching the games so that they work correctly is the challenge, because Oculus doesn't have a driver API or anything. So I had to rewrite the entire runtime, Oculus runtime. Like, it's a black box, and I have to kind of guess what they do in there. So doing that and then launching it, so that I have to do injection of the game, and sometimes antivirus software will flag that and will just deny it. So I'm kind of using hacks that viruses use to launch the games. So it causes all sorts of issues with a bunch of programs. So I have to put in.
So you replicated the runtime.
Yeah.
Much. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't have the whole dash thing. I don't have some of the features like async space warp that they have in the runtime. But re-implemented the basis of it. So
okay, so you could start your own headset company basically with the software. You only need the headset now, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I'm not the first to do that. There was a Revive who did something similar, although Revive kind of used Steam as the back end of that. So I kind of, so in my case, it's in a different language and it's a different implementation, but it's similar to that.
Wow. And what about the sort of things that keep you up at night worrying as a developer? Is there like a niggling bug, or is there something that you're like, oh god, I wish this didn't happen, or something that gets asked all the time and you're like, I just can't solve this problem?
Yeah, there's always something. And I when I wake up in the morning, I always check, okay, let's check on Discord. Are there any fires? Did something break? At one point, like I still use a cloud service that you can connect two computers across the internet. So you need kind of a relay server to be able to do that. Otherwise, you'd have to enter your IP address manually, and that would be not user-friendly at all. So I have a cloud server, and initially it was required, meaning that if my servers went down, the app would not work at all, right? And it happened a couple of times when the Quest launched, because there were spikes in usage, and then my server would go down, and then everybody would go crazy. We're like, why doesn't it work? Why does it have to go through a server and all that? So I was like, okay. So I had to kind of rush and implement a local discovery mechanism so that it can find your local computer if there's no cloud server present, right? So now it uses that. But then whenever I have server outages, which doesn't happen too often now, but when I do, all the people that use Shadow are like unable to connect. So I have to, restart the hamster wheel and see what's going wrong. And so.
Well, I got a question about you as a user then, Guy, for your own app. What's your favorite personal use of it? Like, what do you find you use Virtual Desktop for? Do you watch shows with it? Do you what do you use it for?
Yeah. I use it to watch movies in bed. My wife is right next to me, and if I use like an iPad or a phone, like it's bright, it's light, like she doesn't like that. So if you wear the headset, there's no light in her direction. She can sleep, and I can watch it. And
that's awesome.
I use it the exact same way. It's amazing. I mean, it's great for burglars as well, because they just break in, they take your stuff, and they're like, But you're like encapsulated in this cocoon of technology, because I assume you're like headphones plus the headset, and then you're watching in high fidelity, and it's still really a shame that like services like Netflix and Amazon don't have high quality fidelity at all in their apps. I have to always, it's my number one use case for Virtual Desktop. So I'm glad to hear you use your own app for that, because it's beautiful how it works. Beautiful.
So for other people that like watching video content through Virtual Desktop, when will video content be natively supported? Any roadmap on that?
I don't have an ETA. It's in development. It's coming along very well, and it's going to add a lot of value. You can just play anything from your computer. It frees up space on your Quest. You don't have to have any of the videos physically on your Quest, so you can just stream them, and it's pretty awesome. But I'm still a few months away for sure.
Yeah. Nice. And you're a relatively small team, right? I remember talking about this last time.
Yeah. I'm just myself full time, and I have contractors who help like create this environment here, and so 3 or 4 people right now.
That's insane. It's insane, especially for one of the most popular apps on the store. That is incredible, really. And maybe we should talk about your background there, because for those of you watching the video stream, it's not a real background. It's actually a screenshot from Virtual Desktop. And you've got this like beautiful environment for those that don't necessarily use the PC VR streaming feature that much, and maybe just jump straight into VR. Maybe they've never seen this before, but there is like this beautiful environment, right, that you can actually sit in and have this environment around you as if you're actually working
living
at a desktop.
Environment.
Yeah, a living room environment.
It's not a static environment. It's a
living
living
right.
environment.
And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the view out the window, because it's so beautiful, and like you say, it is a living environment. How did you get that to work, and how did you get that captured?
So essentially, what you see in the background is a 180 video, and then the environment is rendered on top of that with like transparent windows. So because the view in the background is at such a distance, you don't really need depth information. So just a flat 180 video does the trick. And then because the environment is a 3D model with transparent windows, you can see the video across it. So it was quite complicated to make it work, I'll be honest, because there's a lot of layers.
It sounds incredibly simple again when you explain it, but it's I can imagine that this must be so hard to implement that, to give it that realistic feeling, which it really does.
No.
Yeah,
Plus
a lot of time was spent on this.
It's very confusing. Like you talk about something that looks like real to me, but then when you explain it, it's like, wait, what? It's not real? Huh? It's the Matrix.
It's lovely looking. I would really urge anyone to go check it out. Even if you just use it for PC VR streaming normally, just go check out the room. It's worth a look, definitely.
The crazy thing is, Guy, is that it's not only just one environment, right? Because you have it set at actually different time zones as well, right?
Yep.
You have the lighting change, the way that it lights inside, the way that it looks outside. It's all different time.
Yeah, we recorded 3 videos of downtown Chicago. We put a camera on top of a building that, we asked the people, like, can we go on your building and just film? Yeah, sure, whatever. And then so we recorded 3 times a day, and then we had to remove some, there's some labels or some stuff that on signs that we have to cut out and all that. But yeah, it was a long process to get all that running, and now that we kind of have the infrastructure in place, we will pump out more environments like that. So
nice.
Keep an eye out.
It shows like the I would say just the talent that you have is like you deliver something that is never like a half measure. Like you deliver something that is completely finished up to the utmost detail, because a lot of people say, okay, we just put like a 180 video, put it on the screen. But again, like the way that you've done it, the amount of detail you put in this work and the amount of dedication is just, it's mind-boggling. I mean, huge congratulations for that. Even this, which might seem for a lot of people like it's just like a small feature, it's just an environment, but again, like the amount of work and the amount of detail and the result that you get from that is amazing.
I'm so happy there's more in the pipeline, because that's exactly what I was thinking when you first implemented it. I was like, was this like a real pain to implement and you'll see another version of it again? Because that's what I was expecting. But the fact that you said that it's kind of repeatable now is fantastic. So I look forward to your updates.
And they're available as a DLC, so they don't increase the base size of the app. The base app is still only like 380 megabytes. And so those environments are kind of big because, well, depending on which headset you have, they have their own video with the model and all that. So they're a few hundred megabytes, but they're all downloadable. So you can remove them. And
that's great. Nice. And just a quick question then. So, you said that, you're still working on video streaming baked in. Obviously, you've got more environments planned for the future. Anything else that you want to work on? Any scoops that sort of things you might think, oh, this might be a cool little feature that I might add in the future?
Yeah, I have a bunch of other things, but I can't say too much because some folks or some companies like to copy what I do, so I have to keep it a secret.
We have a great suggestion from the chat though. Like I'll just give it to you. There's someone saying, GamerChick13, the Diet Pepsi Cat, great username. I want the snow falling backdrop. I find that soothing, except in real life. So that's maybe something you might consider.
It's a good idea. Maybe I could install a camera in your place, Robbie.
I was thinking that.
Just don't turn around. So what about the chat? Have they got any questions for Guy that maybe we could read out some of their suggestions? Any from there? And in the meantime, maybe I can ask you a question, Guy. Aside from obviously virtual desktop and what you're working on, have you got anything else that you're really excited about in the VR space? You think, oh, this is really cool tech, or something that's coming on in the future, maybe?
I'm looking forward to AR glasses that are hopefully coming out soon. That'll be an interesting use case for virtual desktop, more for productivity side, because you're not going to have an environment. You're mostly just going to have a virtual monitor, and so I'm looking forward to trying those out. Because so far, what I've tried, like the Magic Leap or like some of those, like they weren't really good, and I didn't really spend time developing for them, and they didn't really reach a market at all. So. But I'm looking forward to the new stuff that's coming.
like from Apple. Sure. Imagine that. Then that leads me directly onto my next question. How can I invest in virtual desktop? Because when virtual desktop goes on the Apple store for those AR glasses, you're going to become a multi-millionaire overnight, and I want a piece of that. So where can I invest?
They don't have any stock, sorry.
Private company. I'm curious, actually, like in terms
of... Bill Gates is actually bringing us into a nice segue. He's asking, what do you think about the Oculus Quest 2 Pro?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Just to have something at a higher price point that will hopefully have... that will be more comfortable first, and perhaps higher resolution screens, or maybe eye tracking, or any of the cool things that we've all been waiting for. Because let's be honest, the Quest is great and all that, but it's basically the same thing as the Oculus DK2, right? It tracks two controllers as an addition, but it is the same thing with system tracking, lenses to a screen, right? It's still the same basic thing. So I'm looking forward to the next advancements in VR with lenses and with screens and all that.
Mike, should we maybe take a few questions from the chat as well?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. I noted a few down. So we had the first one. There were some issues that you mentioned, the Upload VR with USB dedicated hardware for streaming. What about PCI card with Wi-Fi direct? Would that be a good solution?
Well, it's not, unfortunately, right now, because the Quest 2 has issues with the hotspots. It only negotiates like the lowest possible speed, like 284 megabit, unless you first connect the phone to it, and then sometimes it will work correctly at the full speed. So there are issues. And there's also the problem that a lot of those hotspots in Windows don't perform well. Like they will have a good 20 seconds and then they'll have like a big hiccup. So they're not really meant to stream large quantity of data. So that's why we recommend a router all the time.
Yeah, of course. We had the Serport 10 asking, can you ask if there is a way to implement a sort of autonomous system to set the Wi-Fi bandwidth and graphics card? Doesn't it already happen that you can set the bandwidth and the graphics card?
Well, the graphics is manual right now. You have 3 settings, low, medium, high, depending on what GPU you have, and there's suggestions next to it. But the problem with that is that it changes depending on the game. So even though I could set automatically based on what GPU you have, then the new GPU comes out, and then I have to push an update, and it's just a nightmare to do. So I let the user choose it. For the bandwidth, it automatically measures how much you have, and will pick the best bitrate automatically already. So,
great. Then we have Paradise Decay asking, is there anything that you would have liked to add to Virtual Desktop but have not yet been able to?
Yes, there are plenty of things I hope to add. I just need more time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I really like this question. Dan Kimwich is asking, which Wi-Fi 6 router would you recommend to get the best performance when playing wireless PSVR games with Quest 2 using Virtual Desktop?
So the Asus routers are the ones I recommend because they have a lot of configuration options and they perform well. If you have the budget, the 86U is a good one. And then if you want to go a little cheaper, there's the 55X. And then if you want to go really cheap, the TP-Link AC routers are actually good. The new AX1 have all sorts of issues, but the older one, like the Archer C6, which is probably like $60, will work great.
It's funny because I went out and bought one of those Asus 86Us when it first came out on Quest 2 because I wanted to try and take advantage of Wi-Fi 6. And like you say, we got higher speeds. I think it was like 1,200 megabits per second, which was pretty decent. It was like more than my previous, which was 800 megabits per second on just standard 5 gigahertz. But since then, actually, you've cost me a fortune because I went full out and went for the XT8 system, the Asus XT8 system, complete Wi-Fi 6 mesh system throughout the whole house. So now I can just play Virtual Desktop anywhere in the house and it works perfectly fine. So if you've got a really high end budget, then the XT8 system is super, super nice. Highly recommend
so
it.
It's probably just to drag that down for the layperson. The problem with 5 or 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi is it doesn't have throughput, so it won't punch through walls, particularly European concrete walls. So what Mike's talking about, I presume with the mesh network, is a repeating system so that you are close enough to the Wi-Fi source so you don't have that problem. Like for me, if I try a 5 gigahertz connection to virtual desktop and I go downstairs, like it's not having it, right? 1 or 2 rooms, like same room or the room over is fine, but beyond that, it just doesn't work. So just plan the location of your router well.
Yeah. The system that I've got set up is 3. So you've got 3 that all bounce off each other, and they've got 2 they've got like a Wi-Fi 6 backbone system, so they communicate to each other via Wi-Fi 6, but that's channel dedicated just for communicating amongst each other, and then a Wi-Fi 6 channel that's public as well. It's a really neat system, highly reviewed, but it's expensive.
That's what I use too, so I recommend it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go. Nice one. Okay, any more questions? And then we can kind of round it up and get on some.
Those ones, the
Quest
ones
Pro.
that I noted down. There might have been like some more that dropped in, but
there was one that I saw, which was an interesting one. Maybe broadcasting to the future here, or forecasting the future. If AirLink does become a thing, and if it becomes free, that would, I assume, be quite a problem for you in terms of virtual desktop. But maybe it wouldn't have the same feature set, but as a kind of a shortcut to a similar type of app. Does that, again, is that something that keeps you awake at night, or do you see it not as really much competition, actually?
Like I said earlier, I think they will ship that dongle and only support the Quest 2 Pro or Quest 3 or whatever the next headset is. And I think they will leave the Quest 1 and 2 without any AirLink support. That's what I believe. That's probably why they allowed my app in. Yeah. But even if they do, like, people would have to buy that dongle, which is not going to be cheap. So I'd say it's probably better to just get a good router and use virtual desktop.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be the same price, and then all your phones and devices in your house will have great Wi-Fi, which is not a bad thing.
I'm telling you, Oculus is going to be the Apple for VR, and they're just marching down that road.
Plus, Guy will have his app on the Apple headset, and you won't care anymore about what Oculus are doing. But no, that's awesome. I really appreciate you being on the show, Guy, and I think it's amazing news for the VR community. You know, being able to stream PC VR content wirelessly is epic. Oh, yeah. Go make sure you got your setup so you can do it and take advantage of the new update on the app, because it is incredible. So I really appreciate it, and really be interested to hear your thoughts on some of the other news that we're going to be talking about during the show as well. So feel free to chime in with your thoughts on that as well. So let's get into the other bits of news then. Because Andrew Bosworth has again been doing an AMA on Instagram this week, and he was asked by someone from the community, why can't Oculus make a $600 headset and put the best specs in it for Quest Pro 3, etc.? And Bosworth replied, Quest Pro, huh? Interesting, and then gave a little wink to the camera. Internet exploded at a man winking at the camera, and of course everyone believes that this is like set in stone, that we're going to get a Quest Pro. So of course, bear in mind that this isn't concrete information, but it kind of got me thinking that if we did have a Quest Pro in development, what would you want from a device like that at this point? So I'll throw that out to you guys first.
Well, first of all, something I want to say is that when I thought about a Quest 2 Pro in general, I thought like this should have been what the Rift S should have been. Like a more high-end kind of headset that, where we had first mobile headset and PCVR headset. That's what I thought of. But I mean, looking at the Quest and where they want to go with it, it's still for the consumer and not the prosumer. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think as long as they don't use the word elite to describe it, so the Quest 2 Pro doesn't become the Quest 2 Elite for obvious reasons, then I would be kind of happy with that. But comfort is definitely number one for me. Like, I'm totally fine with the Quest as it is right now. I think it's a fantastic, like, the weight of the device is all right. The balance isn't there. The comfort is the problem. The Elite strap system is a problem. I'd love to see them actually rework that so that it doesn't have the same kind of poor support engineering torsion in the sidebars. Audio, I'm totally like fine with the solution. I'm actually fine with what they have at the moment. So for me, it would mostly be the strap plus, for a Pro, some feature, like what Guy was going on about, like it'd be great if they had facial tracking or just something. Give us a taste of Facebook Reality Labs development. that differentiates itself from a Quest 2.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, Sim. Like the only thing that I'm having a little bit of an issue with is that, like, I think that the only thing they can really do with a Quest Pro is like update current technology. I can't see them, for example, introducing new technology or like new controllers or something else in a headset, because that would require, support on a software end again. And I don't really see that, considering the way that Oculus has gone forward with hitting like the consumer market, getting mass adoption, that they're gonna like go into a niche with their own product. I think they want everyone to be playing with the same kind of software or the same kind of like underlying structure, and then build from that and like, increase adoption and then maybe diversify. So I think that the only thing that I would see them really improving on is indeed like things like comfort features, better audio solution, maybe better resolution, maybe better lenses, maybe better refresh rate. And all of those things are great, but they're not in my interest to be shelling out an extra $300 or whatever for a headset.
Well, it could also be that a Pro could pretty much mean that they have an Elite strap with headphones on it, and they have an Oculus ready from the program, from VR cover as the face cover, and then on the back they have some more padding, so it's more for the demanding user comfort wise, because from the inside I don't see them selling anything right now. So more stuff they already have, but sell it as a Pro bundle. So for someone who just wants everything straight away for a little bit less than what it would cost if you would just buy everything separately.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But I think we're all looking at this as gamers, whereas I think if they released a Pro model, maybe it would be designed for professionals. So maybe it would be something to compete with some of the professional headsets that we've seen on the market, like from Vario, maybe like Xtal.
Business related?
Like working on the business side, especially when you think about what they're doing behind the scenes with like Infinite Office. Like maybe this could be something designed for professionals, and that's why it's referred to as the Pro rather than something as
the strategies they've had so far. I do think that they want this to be a one-for-all device. I want them to have an Oculus Quest that you'll use in a business environment, that you'll use in a gaming environment, much like you have a phone that you use for like all kinds of different kind of things, from calling to texting to making your agenda, sending your emails. I think that they want one device, and that is like across a wide aspect of different kind of industries being used. I don't see them like diversifying their own product, much like Apple hasn't really done in the beginning. Like there was one product that they made that was being used for a multitude of users.
Plus, the Quest 2 already has a enterprise license right now. It's technically already for business.
What do you think, Guy?
I have a feeling they'll add audio, like good headphones. This is probably the most requested thing for Quest users, and probably color pass through, and a slight bump in like a better processor. That the XR2 right now, it's I'm going back to the Wi-Fi, but it's only Wi-Fi 6. I think they're making a new XR2 later this year. That's Wi-Fi 6E and boosted slightly higher. And Oculus said that they were having some issues clocking the XR2 at maximum speed right they don't, so they probably will have better cooling, and they'll take more time to design it well to perform slightly better.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like PlayStation going from like a PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah. So you think it's the Pro is more prosumer rather than professional? Is my point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Well, so another thing that was asked during the AMA was about eye tracking. And he was asked, what does he think about the tech? And he responded saying that eye tracking is a super interesting area that Facebook has been researching for a long time, and that it is something that they will fit into some future headset. And he continued to say that eye tracking dramatically improves performance by only rendering things that are in the field of view of the fovea. So this is something that we've mentioned before on the show, like dynamic foveated rendering can boost performance of a headset just by rendering the frames that are directly in your line of sight, essentially. So that's a pretty interesting response as well. What do you guys think?
We need it. I mean, even when we had fixed foveated rendering on the Go, I think that the performance gains that you get from that are similar to if you're from the DK1, DK2 era and the original kind of trial headsets, I'll call them, when NVIDIA first implemented, not not rendering the entire scene, and they kind of restricted that down. There was a performance bump, so we need it. It's that simple. You need it. We're at the moment inefficient in terms of that processing, and getting efficient and adding to that pipeline as well, the kind of changes that the RTX card has now built into it is going to make sense in terms of machine learning and bringing some AI in there to actually help, again, get more efficient and do some guesswork that makes our visuals better, smooths things out and makes us essentially, cheat the system so that you can achieve better performance. The one area I would really not expect to see any changes now is probably the controller battery side, because I think they fucking knocked that one out on Quest 2. That's still mad. You can get 6 months if you're a light player on those controllers, which is still baffling.
Yeah. And we already saw on Oculus Connect like how good the predictive system worked with the eye tracking, right? That was kind of amazing to see like that happening. And then again, like, let's not forget that Facebook is still a social media company. The amount of information they can collect from doing eye tracking, actually knowing where people are looking, that's going to be incredibly valuable information for a company like Facebook. So you can bet your asses that they're going to implement that.
Yeah, I'm actually baffled that that's not already here in a beta format like hand tracking. Like, I don't know why you don't already have it, because that must be their priority number one. Figure out where people are looking, then feed them ads, right? It's got to come.
I think you're totally right. And if we were to go back maybe like 2 years and we were asked the question, what do you think will come first, hand tracking or eye tracking? I think we would have all agreed that eye tracking would come first. Yeah, I think you're totally right there. Yeah. Interesting. But that is the news.
Of it, though, I think, Mike. I think the cost of it, just in terms of those internal-facing cameras, must be the limiting factor, along with the software stack.
Well, on the other side, I mean, how much gold you can trade in for that expensive system is insane. It's the new gold.
I don't think that is the issue. I think that it's more likely if I'm 100% they could implement it now. It's just that would not be really a benefit for the user. They could definitely implement a system that could track you where you're looking without a significant add-in cost, I think. What I think the problem is rather to implement a system where you can also do something that is actually beneficial from the user, because otherwise the user is going to be like, great, it has eye tracking. Facebook knows where I'm looking, but I can't do anything with it.
No, I think that makes sense, because I mean, the cost is not a problem. Look at the Oculus Quest 2. They're mining a lot of data with that too. It's a cheap headset people buy. They're like, oh, super cheap, and then they play all the games and they use the fitness app and everything. And meanwhile, they make way more money than these people ever paid for their headsets.
Yeah, and
as long as part with eye tracking, I think, is making it work with 100% of people. I remember seeing on the previous conferences that were saying they were like 90% there. Like, it works for the majority of people, but for some people, they're not able to track the eye because of the shape, the color. Like, there's always some edge cases there, and it has to work 100% if you're going to ship it in a product. So that's the hard part, I think.
Wouldn't it be problematic to implement that with the current system that the Oculus Quest 2 has, where it has only 3 IPD settings, where it needs to be built into that? Or is that not something that is relevant at all?
You wouldn't need a real IPD setting, because you could actually measure the distance between the people.
It'd almost be
dynamic.
Automatic.
It'd be dynamic.
Like the Vario does, where it's like, and then it's sharp.
You're grinding of the engine. I had one more thing on that Quest 2 Pro piece, and just I know Boz is a complete winker because he's done 2 AMAs now in short succession, and I was kind of surprised by that. But the one thing that I really want in the audio department, I don't mind if people get kind of tack on headphones like what we had for CV1 and they're high quality, great. What I really want is, and I don't know if this is even possible, proper low latency Bluetooth connection to standard Bluetooth headphones, because is like a lot of people will have AirPods or whatever the equivalent is, and they just want to use it with the Quest, and at the moment you can't. So I want that support to come. I don't know if it would be in a Pro edition or if it would be more of a software update, but I'd like to see that.
Yeah, but that's classic Facebook. They first have to create some kind of Bluetooth headphones themselves to be selling the feature in a round circle, So that is the rumor that it's a rumor for sure.
Quest Pro is in the works. It is beyond a rumor. It is just a wink after all. So.
Well, the thing is, I think that boss does understand now after doing a couple of these on Instagram that he sees all the news. It's like marketing too, you know. Upload makes an article. The YouTubers make videos saying that it's now suddenly confirmed. Well, it's not, but it is good news, and people live from that news. So it's very smart from his side. But it also creates a little bit confusion for, like in my Discord, for example, there are subscribers who now say, "Listen, I'm not going to buy a Quest 2 because there's a new one coming out." And that kind of also kills the vibe for some people. So it's as long as they communicate this properly, I think it's fine to have people, you know, hyped up for something. But right now, no one knows what to expect.
No, it's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. The final bit of news this week is that in the latest Oculus Quest update version 26, you can now mark out your couch in your Guardian boundary system. So I haven't tried this out myself yet, so I should say that, but I read that it will be part of the experimental features tab in the Oculus Quest settings menu. And basically it works by you trace the outline of your couch, so you can track it in your virtual space. And if you're just chilling out, browsing the internet through the browser or through the App Store, then you can do it from the comfort of your couch now.
I tried it. It works well, although it's not necessarily scanning your couch. It has just a certain set distance that you can use. So they're kind of just going with the casual couch, like, you know.
Not like a decorated fancy couch. It's just like a...
No, it's not. You can't decorate it either. So let's say if you have an office chair, that works too, kind of. But sometimes the length is too long and you can't really change that stuff. So it's kind of all still, well... It's you're kind of restricted.
This is going to be great in my uptown Chicago apartment. Pretty sure that.
I don't know. I'm sure it's gonna struggle with that big couch. I mean, it's gonna. But the funny part is, so I tried it, and then when I wanted to, because I'm constantly playing everywhere. Sometimes I play games in the kitchen, then I play in the living room, then I play upstairs. So when I switched between another play space, I made a new one. For some reason, this couch then gets stuck in the play space, but then it just places it in the next play space. Well, there is no couch there. So don't think that you can always sit on the couch when you're in other places where there is no couch, because you're going to hurt yourself.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. So so basically it
travels with you to other play spaces amazing. For some reason. But the coolest part is, so it's not, so you have your environment, but the couch itself is then kind of outside of that environment. So when you sit on it, it switches to a new kind of play space on your couch. So you have two play spaces now. One is your couch, seated, and the other one is your room scale environment. So when you step up, you have to confirm that you're going to another. So it splits it in half.
I hate that. Like it would be nice if it just put it in your environment and you can sit on it and go up. But every time you stand up or you go on your couch, it prompts you. Are you sure you want to go on your couch? I just sat down. I want to go on my couch.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what is the user benefit of mapping your couch? Like, I don't understand why. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't. That's the thing. You know, Oculus rolls something out, but they don't explain it. So I have no idea.
I just don't understand.
It's kind of fun. I like it. It's kind of cool. And if they have some tables with it too, I can still just play games in my living room and just chill there too. You know?
Is it because it's like a big object and people want to sit down? Because you map the height to the floor. I've never had a problem sitting on my couch. Like, is there a reason? Is it just so that you can see it and then you can go sit on it?
Yeah,
that's why
people don't trip over their couch.
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of the game, you want to take a pause, then you just go sit on your couch, and then you're going to look at the menus and change some things, and you can just sit down, relax, and then you stand up. You don't have to take off your headset, right? So I think it adds a lot of value.
But the thing is, you can place this couch wherever you want. So if you want to, don't do this, but if you want to prank someone, you can just place a virtual chair. It's like, oh, you can just sit here and then... Don't do that, please don't do that.
What I really want is a way to track my coffee mug or a beer.
But that's what that one guy did, right?
That would be a game changer for me.
You know, someone
I want to track kids and pets. That's it. I want a little tracking tag that goes on them, and you just a bright shining light that appears as they walk into your play space, and you can even make it like a demon, so you're scared of it.
I have a suggestion for you. You just hit them once really good, and they'll never come near you again.
Tried that with the wife. Didn't work. No.
Rowdy. Right. So that is the latest Quest update. Of course, this is a rolling update like all Oculus updates, so it's a question of whether you get this or not. whenever.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. For the last 3 updates, I got them instantly.
You did?
Maybe it's because I was complaining in the podcast and they saw it. They were like, listen, this guy needs the update fast. But I got it now. And it's very nice.
Good. Yeah. Well, enjoy your virtual couch.
Thank you. I will.
So obviously the other huge news this week was that PlayStation officially confirmed that they're working on a PSVR 2. This was just awesome news. I think this is probably the best news that I've had all year so far from the VR industry. I think it's been a long time coming because, of course, if we go back just a few months ago, back in October, we had a statement from Jim Ryan, who's the CEO of PlayStation, and this is what he said verbatim back then.
From Jim Barnaby. Yeah.
Jim Barnaby's best friend. And we had some real concerns because of this statement, and I'll read it out and you can understand why. So this is what he said. He said, I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR. PlayStation believes in VR, Sony believes in VR, and we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. But will it come at some stage? We believe that. So it was kind of like, it just felt like they were kind of putting their foot off the gas and just kind of backing off from VR and just saying, look, we're not supporting it on the PS5. Yeah. You know, the PSVR works with PS5 in backwards compatibility mode, although they say there's some benefit to it, I've never really seen any benefit to it in my testing so far.
Yeah.
So we all
but
kind of just...
It was hard to believe. Like when we spoke about this on the podcast, there was no reason to say, no, there is not a PlayStation VR 2 coming. I was just super confused about this.
It sounded very negative. Some people read into it different ways, but I certainly felt that it was like, okay, we're pausing on this for a minute until
just say
we're ready.
We believe that it will one day. That means that they're not like giving up on it, but it certainly doesn't mean that they're still actively believing it's going to be anytime soon.
Yeah. So without PSVR, I was disappointed, and I thought, well, we've got Oculus. They're a big player. We've got maybe Apple in the horizon, and they'll come back eventually at some point. But then, in a surprise post this week, a fellow called Hideki Nishino, Senior Vice President, posted on the PlayStation blog, and this is what he said. He said, more than 4 years ago, we launched PlayStation VR to offer a transformative new way to play games on PS4, providing a much stronger sense of presence and deeper immersion to players compared to traditional games. In that time, we've seen tremendous experiences that have propelled virtual reality gaming forward, including highly acclaimed titles such as Astrobot Rescue Mission, Tetris Effect, Blood and Truth, Moss, Beat Saber, Resident Evil 7, and we've enhanced the experience for some PSVR titles when played on PS4 Pro and PS5. Today, I'm pleased to share that our next generation VR system will be coming to PlayStation 5, enabling the ultimate entertainment experience with dramatic leaps in performance and interactivity. Players will feel an even greater sense of presence and become even more immersed in the game worlds once they put on the new headset. We're continuing to innovate with our VR system so that our fans can enjoy the unique experiences that are synonymous with PlayStation. We're taking what we've learned since launching PSVR and PS4 to develop a next-gen VR system that enhances everything from resolution and field of view to tracking and input. It will connect to the PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use, while enabling a high-fidelity visual experience. One of the innovations we're excited about is our new VR controller, which will incorporate some of the key features found in the DualSense wireless controller, along with a focus on great ergonomics. That's just one of the examples of future-proof technology we're developing to match our vision for a whole new generation of VR games and experiences. There's still a lot of development underway for our new VR system, so it won't be launching in 2021, but we wanted to provide this update early to our fans, as development community has started work on creating new worlds for you to explore in virtual reality.
That's
an amazing update.
Amazing.
Right? Great update.
Dude, I was like, when I read this, like, D-Day is coming. There is competition on the way.
Exactly.
Holy crap. This is going to be so epic. You have no idea.
I'm wondering, when does Virtual Desktop land on the PlayStation VR?
Have you considered that before, Guy?
No, because it has a wire and it doesn't have any onboard processing. And same thing with the PSVR, the second PSVR, it looks like it doesn't have onboard processing. So kind of useless for me.
No.
Oh, okay.
So this whole thing, when we were talking about Resident Evil 8 and those kind of games coming to VR, it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it seems it could be a system seller, right? For them, you know, with Resident Evil 8 being supported in VR, they did the same with Resident Evil 7 with the original PSVR launch. If
and
that's
another Astrobot in
a launch
combination
title
with
for
that.
PSVR 2, that would be epic.
Yeah.
It kind of almost got me thinking because, you know, PS5 in terms of raw specs, you know, it's comparable with a super high-end PC in terms of it can run like 4K at 60 frames per second. Kind of got me thinking that some of the high-end PC games might get ported over to PS5 and PSVR 2.
Yeah.
Maybe even something like Half-Life Alyx would see the light of day on that system because Valve has released games like the Orange Box on other systems before, right? So that would be pretty epic, right?
It would be very epic. The thing is, looking into this update, the thing that's most exciting to me actually harkens back to one of the predictions that Nathan had when we were first talking about this, which is that it might be a hybrid system. Because like they did last time, right, with the post that you talked about, this year, next year, not happening. And now they're saying, 2022. What they don't tell us almost tells us more than what they do tell us. And in these recent updates, article with GQ on the PlayStation blog as well, they keep talking about this kind of single cord setup. And I'm telling you, they are over highlighting that for a reason. They want us to get hyped when they finally unveil it. And they're like, oh, guess what? And it unplugs and it's wireless. I really think this is coming. They're gonna have it delivered over USB-C or some equivalent, and it's just everyone's gonna go bananas.
Could be, or the wire just goes into another device that makes it wireless, of course. But
you're talking about a dual setup system. You're talking about standalone and PS5 compatibility.
100%. And this is exactly what I see with this update. Like what Nathan's saying here, it is a torpedo readied in the chamber. And the other thing that really excites me is PlayStation have, as far back as like iToy and even some of the earlier PlayStation peripherals, liked to tinker in the same way that used to get me excited when Nintendo Revolution was in the pipes and then came out with the Wii. Like that stuff for me is just really exciting when they play with what can we do, and with the patents and stuff that we'd seen before about like asynchronous gameplay and like what can you do differently, and the fact that they're harping on about like this new VR system, not just that it's like upgrades to the existing thing, but this could be a substantially different experience. And I've already been very positive about PSVR 2 as a thing in the pipeline, but exactly, Resident Evil 8, it's definitely coming. It's in first person. It was one of their biggest sellers. It's definitely coming.
Well, just in general, I've said this for many years. Sony is the best at making content. They are the king of making games. They have been, when the PlayStation VR just launched, it had so many new games. They made new bundles. They were very aware of what the community wanted, and they rolled that out. That's what I'm excited for all the games they will make. I feel like other platforms, like what Oculus has, also, Steam, they're struggling with keeping, a certain quality bar. And Sony is able to do that. They showed that with the PlayStation VR.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, like, even if you're not a massive PlayStation fan or you have no desire of getting the new PS5 or the PlayStation VR 2, this will have a huge impact on the industry that will be great for everyone. It'll be great for consumers because they've got more choice. It'll be great for developers because they'll get greater returns on their investments. Other developers will start seeing that people are making significant amount of money from making VR content, and look at all the platforms available. It drives competition. It drives innovation. It is just great for everyone, regardless of whether you're interested in this or not.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
True. It does drive a new ecosystem, and that's what we have been talking about. We needed two companies to be head-to-head, and then start, kind of competing in terms of, what consumers want, and that's where you see more games come from.
Exactly.
It's so nice because I was kind of depressed after the first news. I was like, okay, now Facebook just take over the world with the Quest, and it's over. But now with PlayStation VR 2 coming, I'm super excited.
Yeah, we got three like big players in the ring now,
Apple
right?
too.
Apple and Oculus, and now we have thankfully Sony not giving up the ghost on this, and I'm totally happy. Like I suppose some people are like, oh no, it's not coming in 2021. I don't mind at all. I can wait a year for this. Absolutely can wait a year. And like what Nathan's saying, like the software side is absolutely their strongest part, because
amazing.
Oculus have for the last year and a half, they've got still plenty of titles coming through, and they're funding things, but it's not as strong as it was in the early CV1 days, like the 2017, 2018 days when we got like really quality first party and third party titles funded by Facebook. Lately, it's felt a little bit like the doldrums, and I know we had last year, COVID and all that. affecting us. So for the last 12 months, that's kind of been hacked out and been a good reason to not be productive. But this is such good news. This is such good news. And they got a year to get it right, and then just punch us all in the face with it in the best way possible.
Plus, what like, and that's the key point that Sony has, is that Oculus is in my opinion more American focused. Well, Sony is doing very well in Europe, is doing very well in Asia too. We all know PlayStation, because what they do is they advertise here on TV. They have it laying in the stores too. Yeah. And they just know everything about marketing. They know their audience. They have been making games for years. So if there's someone who knows how to spread the word of VR fast, it's them.
And I think Zim made a really good point there that, because obviously it's not coming this year, it's likely to be coming next year. That kind of ties in with maybe Quest 3 rumors, Quest Pro rumors, Apple headsets. And like you say, these three big Goliaths going at it in the ring, I can't wait to sit by the sidelines and just watch this go down. It's going to be epic.
I still don't think that they're going to be competition really for each other. Because if you look, like Sony has like really the console market, that's what they're aiming for. I think Quest is almost a market in itself. Apple is not going to be. I don't even see them in the gaming.
But so don't underestimate.
Yep. No, I'm not underestimating.
No, but don't underestimate the exclusives. People buy a PlayStation 5 for God of War, or that's happening all the time.
I was just getting there actually. I was saying like the competition is going to come from game studios, which are going to be purchased by all three companies probably, or not only game studios, because I still don't see Apple really getting invested into the gaming market. I see them more as a business competitor and buying up technology. I'm not really sure if I find that necessarily a good thing in terms of those kind of things, because I would still prefer like this kind of technology to be used by all three companies rather than just a single company. So it's in my eyes, it's good in terms of like, creating awareness again for VR, increasing the mass adoption, more people trying out VR, playing VR. I'm not necessarily agreeing that this is going to be a great thing for competition in terms of gaming.
The thing is, like, it drives innovation. Even if they're not directly competing with each other, there will be overlap there. And I think innovation will drive, because the thing is, like,
I'm not entirely sure about that, Mike, because driving innovation is good if you have competition, but if you have them like secluding information from other companies, you actually hold back innovation. You see that in a lot of fields. You see that, for example, in the medical field as well with publishing, where companies or organizations or universities, they keep information for themselves in order to prevent another industry from taking over. And I'm a little bit scared that, for example, you have a technology that is being developed by Facebook that they're going to hold in-house, and they're not going to spread that out. We've seen it already happening with Facebook and different kind of technologies. And I'm a little bit scared that they're going to be holding that kind of information in, preventing other companies from growing from that up until the point that it gets released.
I'm not sure really what you've got in your mind when you're thinking about that, because personally, I'm thinking about like controller design, for example. Like I'm thinking about the DualSense adaptive triggers, like on the PS5 controller. Like
for example, I'm talking about the hand tracking, for example, that is developed by Facebook. They're not making that available to another company to implement. If you're looking at, for example, the way that they integrated.
But why would you though? Why would you give the competition your technology that you've developed over years and years and years?
No, but what I'm saying is that
but that's a bad thing in the end, right? For other
more technology in the house that has not been released. There's a ton of that kind of technology that's being held back up until that they can do something with that. It's not necessarily the only thing I'm trying to point out. It's not necessarily a good thing when you have more companies buying up other companies that are working on technology that they want to make freely available.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at the state of VR right now, it does need it. Even that it might kind of be like hurting it in the long run.
Yeah,
I don't agree that it's not good. I think competition is great in any business. You need that competition to drive the industry forward. Without them, you just have one person that does whatever they want. And I think another big player showing them.
I'm talking about a completely different. What I mean is that you have companies that are working on technologies that are being bought out by Apple, by Facebook, by Amazon.
But that happens in every business sector, right?
But wait, Mike. What I'm trying to say is that these companies are being bought out to prevent that technology from being released. That's what I'm trying to say.
But it's not. Mike is not saying that it's bad, true, but it's a part of capitalism and a part of just screwing other, competition.
But anyway, I think we're focusing on something very, very small here, which we don't even know is actually true. So let's talk about something that we're excited about. Okay. Because I want to talk about the controllers, because I think the controllers are a really big deal, because I know not many people out there have a PS5. I was very lucky, very fortunate to mash the F5 button and get one on Amazon early. But the adaptive DualSense triggers are really next level, and it's something that's quite subtle, but once you've used them and you feel that adaptive trigger in games implemented, it really is going to be a game changer in terms of these new controllers that they're working on, and especially if they integrate that finger tracking technology that we talked about on the show many months ago, where they showed a kind of a prototype of that working. Those two in combination will be really, really nice. So I'm super excited about that.
So will it? We spoke about this before, but we're gonna be almost sure that it's gonna be inside out tracking.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be. It can't use the HD camera. There's no way. If they're going with the industry and they're pushing a real next gen headset, it's got to have inside out tracking. That's it.
There's no better solution right now.
There is no better solution.
And even if it was a combination, that's what I was imagining when I was looking at their patents. I was imagining something that was a combination of a single static camera plus some inside out. But I don't know if that would meld well in terms of the communication within the headset and its processing delays, because you really have to be, millisecond level in terms of making your calculations and stuff. The thing here, I have to say, I just sit back and I've got a big grin on my face looking at Mike getting all amped up about any tactile solution. 2 years ago, I warned you. I was like, if you get into this stuff, this vibration feedback stuff, you're gonna end up like me, fucking neck deep in it. And you once you experience that, whether it's a sub pack, B haptics, doesn't matter what it is, fancy triggers that are vibrating your finger. Once you feel the bass, that's it, baby. That's it. You're in.
You're hooked. So what about games then? What games would you like to see? Obviously, we talked about Resident Evil. Astrobot is a given.
Astrobot needs not a reboot, but they definitely can do more with that for sure.
Farpoint 2. I want a Farpoint 2 with a 20-hour campaign.
And a new PSVR aim controller, maybe.
Well, I will take whatever controller scheme they because they did such a good job on that first one. I'm happy to do it again. And again, something like Firewall has to be a necessity for the next. I mean, it's just such a great. You need proper multiplayer in VR, and that was.
That was my first thought, actually, a next-gen Firewall, because, I love that game so much. I think the design of it, the layouts, the missions, the maps, the guns, everything felt great. It was just held back by this hardware.
The visuals. I mean, can you imagine proper HD VR,
Man, that game will be like a system seller if they can really bring it to the next gen console. So yeah, I'm hyped for that. I think it's just really exciting news. I love the fact that they're coming back, and they've been so bold to say, look, we are committed to VR. We are going to be making something next gen, and it's going to be coming on the horizon, not this year, but probably next year. And I think that's great. So I'm very, very excited.
Ratty, what were your faves in terms of PlayStation? I know you played a few, but what would you want to see on it? I'm just curious.
But in VR, that's I mean, I think that Astrobot is still probably the greatest one that I've played. But I wasn't a big fan for Resident Evil just because you didn't have the hand tracking, which I found a little bit a shame. But I think that the most original one that I've played is still static.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was made by Tarsier Studios that also developed Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2 that I know that Nathan and I have been enjoying recently.
I do think we're going to see some, remasters too. In my opinion, they should just, Iron Man, they should just remaster it and make it ready for it. And I'm sure they will. And same with Blood and Truth. There are some games that it's almost like porting it over. We have seen this with the Quest 2, games getting constantly. But I do think a lot of these games, if they get updated for the new tracking system and everything, they're still as amazing. So some of them are, timeless in that sense. I want
to see them double down on horror, because PlayStation have always had cojones, and I'd like to see them get
The
them properly scared. Like, I mean, Resident Evil is one type of horror, but there are plenty of other types of horror games that could do a very good job. And
the
give
shark, they made the shark
attacks.
demo, man. Holy crap, was that scary?
Yeah,
it's like just a demo.
So this brings up an interesting question then. Does this mean that now that this is happening, does this sway your interest more into picking up a PS5 anytime soon?
I was about to buy one, but I'm still gonna wait it out because I would only buy it for the PSVR 2 because I'm a PC Master Race gamer. So
it's the opposite for me. It's the opposite for me because their bundles are ridiculously good value. I've found in the past. So I would I've just sold off my PSVR setup, so it's kind of perfect timing for me. Now we just wait a year, wait for them to launch it, and I'll just buy the whole thing at one go. Because right now it's hard to get the hardware. I mean, if you want to play with a PlayStation 5 anyway, I just don't want to just bother trying to scramble right now.
No,
like,
but
why
they're struggling. Like, I'm sure you heard the news with the chipsets and everything. It's almost impossible for Sony to even make more PlayStation 5s. So that's why I'm also happy to hear that it's not going to happen this year. It wouldn't even be able to happen this year, but maybe, who knows, somewhere at the end of next year when things start to pick up again. Because trying to make a PSVR 2 during a pandemic, I think is almost impossible at the moment.
And just back to that point about titles, I said this, I think it was last episode, but I really do think that, like, if they took GTA 5 and VRified it and launched it, like that would be incredible. I mean, we've seen it on PC. Most of us here have played it, and it actually works as quite a compelling thing. If they did that, yes, it would be the joke of Reddit for about a week when they're like, they launched it again. But that world would be great.
But the thing is, we spoke about this before. Like, Rockstar is working on a game or an experience. So they want to launch it on every platform, or they have been using LA Noire to test things out, so that maybe GTA 6 has some kind of support. Because I'm sure the company has seen how many people are on a daily basis playing GTA in VR, and we have had mods with motion controller support too that were amazing. So
don't bloody tease it, lads. Like, don't tease it, Rockstar. If you're gonna do it, do the whole thing. I don't want half of a game. I don't want a Doom like.
But that's where the exclusives come in, because PlayStation had an exclusive on GTA 5 back in the days. You couldn't play it on PC. So if Sony is smart, they have again an exclusive on GTA 6, and if then there's also VR support, that's where you win from others.
Yeah, or the next Rockstar title, whatever that's going to be. Yeah, I'm with you.
So what about you, Rowdy? You tempted to pick up a PS5 now?
I think I'm in the same boat as Zim. It's like I'm not looking at it, buying it now, just because it's it would be pointless. First, because you can't get one, and second, because it's not going to be there for another good year. I'm also mostly like a PC gamer, so I have plenty to play on my Oculus Quest or my regular PC, so I don't really need it. And the reason why you buy, a PlayStation, at least that I do, is mostly to play like those exclusive titles, being part of the problem. Well, yeah, that's But that's the reason why I want it. I would really like to see like games like like a Spider-Man or something like that, because they still have those exclusive rights as well. Seeing that arrive on a virtual reality platform would be just mind blowing.
How do we not have a proper Spider-Man yet? Yeah,
Insomniac, they made Stormland. They know how to do VR now. So
very good point. Very good
point. Yeah. and maybe they get the freedom to make whatever they want, because with Stormland they had to kind of, end it somewhere. But maybe with Sony they get some more air time.
And they were bought by Sony, weren't they? Recently?
Yeah. It's like Stormland launches on, Stormland 2 suddenly launches out of nowhere.
There is one thing I wanted to say, which is Microsoft, wake up and get in the fucking game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously,
100%.
like get in the game, because I think Microsoft is sorely missing. They did good justice with the Windows Mixed Reality platform, opened it up for devs. It's a competitor. It was an interesting technology system. But from the software side, with their own exclusives, can we please have the VR equivalent of the Xbox? Just do it. It's good for you.
Well said. That's a great way to round up all the news this week. So let's now get into releases and see what there is to play this week. Is there anything juicy for us to get our little teeth into?
There's always juicy stuff. You just got to know where to look, that's all.
He digs them out the dirt.
Bad things can also be juicy, Mike.
Absolutely. Certain rotten types of fruit are just wonderfully juicy. So Let's start off with Hyperdash. It's kind of the full release of Hyperdash finally. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to sink your teeth in, Hyperdash is sleek, slick, and smooth. It's a VR multiplayer team-based shooter. If you're happily watching the video along with us, you'll see a number of different modes featured. It's got Payload, like we know from Team Fortress, Domination, which is when a nice little lady grabs the leather whip, and Control Point, where your team tries to take over a number of control points in the map. Very fast-paced, very smooth, rail-based shooter as well. When I say that, I mean there's actual rails that you slide on, right? This is not a diss. So there's offline mode with bots if you don't like people. There's dedicated servers, rebindable controls, left-hand support. I'll say that again, left-hand support for 10% of the population, because this is a problem that a lot of kind of like early access titles have, is they don't have that. And so if you're looking for something that's like super slick, I think Hyperdash is perfect for you. It's got voice support, so you're able to talk to people. Beat Saber multiplayer, maybe you want to implement that too. And if you buy it for Rift or Quest, you get it on the other one, so it is cross-buy.
And it's cross-play.
And cross-play, yeah, exactly. So it's available on Steam. It's available on Quest and Rift. The price is $20 or £15. It's $16.99 on Steam, so you pay a slight premium. It was out on the 25th of February by Triangle Factory. And, with 2021 already here, this may be another nail in Solaris's coffin.
Well, it is.
I love this game. I love this game. I played it a year ago when it released on SideQuest, and I've enjoyed it ever since. And I'm so happy for them that they finally released it on the store, and I just wish them the best of luck. The timing wasn't great, obviously, with the release of Population 1 Season 1 update for them, but I do think this is a game that holds its own and is unique enough to be a separate entity. It doesn't have to compete directly. It can be its own thing.
It's funny. I remember these guys 2 years ago at VR Days. They were like asking, "We're like, try my demo." They were still trying to sell their concept, and now it's it's like super popular.
Yeah, it's like insane. Riding the rails is just so awesome. It feels like that old school
Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio. Yeah, exactly. It feels like that in VR, and also they've got bHaptics support in it as well. So if you do happen to have a vest, you can feel all this stuff as well, which is
how much
awesome.
do bHaptics pay you, Mike? No, I'm just kidding. I'm telling you.
I should send you my old vest actually, because I've got 3 here now. So I should send you one, and then you can check it out yourself. Because I think being a haptics guy, like you said, you'd really enjoy it. It's really good stuff.
I'm open to that now for sure, because it does have an API-led haptics, which is different than just your kind of broad-based spectrum haptics that I'm used to. So the next one here, as a fan of fingerless gloves, I am looking forward to Fingerless Glove Simulator 2, which is on the street known as the Climb 2. So this is coming to Quest, and I'm sure PC VR players are going to go, what? Where's our game? But anyway, this is landing on the 4th of March from Crytek, and I love the fact that this game, the main features are shown in the trailer. We've got a new city environment, you have new maps, new unlockables, but generally speaking, more dynamicism. And I don't say that lightly, dynamicism. So you have things like the ladders that you might remember that were getting you across an icy crevasse in the first one will bear your weight. There's ropes. There's a variety of different interactable objects in the game that are a bit different. Now, some of you might be thinking, where's the multiplayer? Where's the bloody multiplayer? It's kind of similar to the first one, leaderboard-based asynchronous multiplayer, so you can still play against your friends' times and competing on the maps, but there's no, like what I think Nathan was asking for a podcast or two ago, there's no synchronous, 2 people in the map climbing together.
Physical.
Sadly not.
No physical.
Sadly not.
So,
Ghost.
But I mean, all in all, checking out the install size, which is showing on the Oculus Quest store, 4 gigabytes for this one. So unless you're really pushed for space, that's decent for a really nice looking game. And the environments look great. And I've got to say, from the Zim side of me, I'm so glad that they've got an angry volcano god in the game. It's fantastic. So looking forward to this one as a climber myself. How are you guys feeling about this guy?
I'm excited about it. I really love the climb. It was a great game, visually great game. Bit sad it's not coming to PC because I think it's one of those games that deserves to be on PC with amazing visuals like that. So that is a bit of a shame, but also a shame that it's not going to have proper multiplayer. But other than that, I'm still very excited about it. More climb, you You can't go wrong.
That's nice. This one I think that's nice to just kind of like just chill with. You know what I mean? Like just you can literally hang out in the climb, and you don't have to. And I like the fact that they've got kind of an easier mode now, which doesn't require the kind of pressure sensitive grips system. So the advanced.
Chalking.
Or the chalking, right? So the chalking is classic. But like in the original game, you would have to chalk and then like hold the grips at like halfway point, which isn't really that easy to do, especially when it gets very difficult in the later levels and you've got hard grips to focus on. So I thought that would be quite off-putting to new players. I'm glad they've got a kind of a dual difficulty mode now, simplifying the game.
Yeah.
Baby mode.
Yep.
Baby mode.
We're going to be talking more, obviously, about the game next week on the show with like our thoughts on it and review of it. So if you want to go check that out, make sure you stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. So a couple more things I'll just mention on the way. I was waiting for then to be now, and guess what? Now is now. So there's a game I just wanted to mention, Now the Lost Eye, which is on Steam. It's already out. It was out on the 25th of February. This is an action-adventure game with some light puzzles in there. Physics-based mechanics, weaponry. You get to explore ancient ruins, sky cities, and canyons. You've got a bow, crossbow, and various other weapons, and a whole bunch of different enemies. Some of the mechanics in this include like dodging on a rail system, and it just looks to me, it reminds me of a couple of other VR games. Very colorful, very bright, intricate enemies of all different styles. Little angry like frog fellas that try to bite you. So I just saw this and I was like, I need to mention this. Now, the one thing I will say is this is early access at the moment, and there are some bugs still. But the game looks like it's got a lot of spirit and heart, and I'll probably wait until it's all polished and before diving in myself. So I would recommend taking a look at that. That's called Now the Lost Eye. It's spelled Naau. The Lost Eye. It's available on Steam now. So
it looks very Zelda-like.
Yeah. It reminded me of what was that Quest title that launched at the beginning, which had the crossbow and stuff? Do you guys remember?
Oh,
Wait, a crossbow? Oh, yes. Apex?
No, it looks like Apex. I agree with you on
Journey
that.
of the Gods.
Oh, Journey of the Gods.
Oh,
exactly
I hurt my head thinking about that so hard.
That happened often, like.
Made by
gets challenging
also a
as I
big
get older.
studio, you know?
Was it? Yeah. And there's one other here that I want to mention that landed, which I tried, but unfortunately, I'm a big lady. I couldn't really take this game. It's too hard. And it's called Crashland. So it's in the best way I can say, a kind of wave shooter. It's an action horror shooter, and I think they strove away from this. It's called Crashland. Came out on Quest on the 25th of Feb as well. A very popular day for releases. It's got some nice gun mechanics and things like that. Really interesting enemies. I got as far as level 2 and found it to be very, like they describe it as vicious and brutal. And it is just that. It's a bunch of feckin' aliens coming at you, trying to suck your blood, and you're shooting off various bits of their body parts. And you're fighting like hellworms in a desert land, terror birds in a forest. But the game at the beginning was definitely like brutally difficult on normal difficulty. The dev has actually addressed player feedback and said, we're going to make that easier so that people can see some of the tougher enemies. Because you're looking at this and there's like 20 levels from the starting screen. And I couldn't get past the second level, which was like, I like these kind of shooters. It is really tough. But the vibe is great. The vibe is really, it feels like Starship Troopers, I would say, when you're playing.
But how does it compare to Sharks from Mars?
Sharks from Mars? Oh, that's a tough.
Nothing beats Shots from Mars.
Nothing beats.
But one thing about Crashland I will mention that I did really like. I really liked the motion tracker. Kind of reminded me of Aliens. They really got inspired from a lot of like movies. And the gun actually looks like Judge Dredd's Lawmaker gun with the rapid fire and all that kind of different modes and stuff.
Yeah. I like a lot of the modes. Like you can fire basically like heavy bullets and stuff like that by holding the grip down. So the mechanics around the shooting is quite good. Like what Mike said, the radar that's on the left-hand gun is a bit like Alien. Mm-hmm. I wish there was more of a sound with it because the sound element is missing. Yeah. I like that it only does an update every, I think, 1 second. It's not like all the time tracking targets, so it'll flash an update, flash another update, and you get that tension. But the creatures in this are quite big, and some of them are very menacing. Normally, it's you play until you die to figure out how to beat the enemies, and then you have to start over again. So if you don't like stuff that's like really, I'll call it grindy in nature, this might not be for you. It's not an easy game anyway so far that I've found. That's Crashland.
Also, it's got about as much depth as a puddle, so just bear that in mind going into it as well.
It's
like,
a shooter.
Ever.
Yeah. It's a wave shooter,
exactly,
so there's not much to it. Anyway, those 4 games.
Just know that going in, you'll be fine.
Those 4 games were Hyperdash, Fingerless Glove Simulator 2, the Climb 2, Now The Lost Eye, and Crashland are your releases for this week. And that's us for releases.
Lovely. So if you've got any questions for us or Guy, then drop them in the chat now or forever hold your peace. And I'll quickly recap the show details. So just a reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube and on Twitch. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you've enjoyed the stream, then hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for all our future VR podcasts. Thanks to Val for sponsoring the show, and thanks to Guy for joining us. It's always a pleasure having him on the show, and congratulations again on Virtual Desktop getting approved with the streaming part of it, getting approved on the official store. Epic news for everyone.
Amazing.
So let's see if anyone's got any questions before we wave goodbye.
Nothing yet, I'd say. They're saying GG,
nothing,
and they're saying Guy is a genius.
Guy is a genius.
Yeah.
Well, we all knew that already.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. Yeah, so we'll round up the show then. We'll have a great week in VR. Enjoy playing The Climb 2. Like I said earlier, we'll talk about our thoughts on the game later on in the show next week. So until then, take care of yourselves, enjoy those mountains, and bye-bye for now. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.